Hey, we're following on from an FMQ all about what's next, the continuum of a goal. And I want you to know that it's just a small change that makes such a massive difference. I want you to feel so motivated, more whole. And you feel, I'm good with this, because it's not just a continuum. What we're going to talk about today, your achievements and your successes of goals, connects everything together. Not just in you, but with everyone around you. It infects and affects everything in such a positive way. That's of interest. That's important. And that's why you're here, by the way. Have a listen after this. Hey, welcome to the Personal Development Unplugged podcast. So pleased you're here. Your time is valuable and precious. So what I would like to do is fill that time that you share with me with the most shiny golden nuggets to help improve your life, to get your goals, your wishes, your dreams to come to fruition quicker, bigger, better than you could ever imagine. Using your imagination, using hypnosis, using NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, all of that, using all things of the mind. No brain hacks, but real solid processes to deconstruct what people do to become great. And then find the processes that we can install that in ourselves to support you in your dreams and get what you really want in life. Anyway, who am I? I'm Paul Clough, and just going to have conversations with you in this podcast and get you thinking, but also share those processes because we're going to have so much fun. That's it. We're going to have fun for a change because we can sit down for a spell and have more fun than we can stand, creating the world we want to live in and be the person we want to be in that world. The only limitation is your imagination. And you got bucket loads, by the way, bucket loads. Have a listen. You really must.
Hello dears again. It's that poddy time, and I do wonder if Paul will do that hypnosis type of thing again. Because when he says things like, look around my eyes, not in my eyes, I go, oh, quite blurry. But it feels so jolly nice, and I make wonderful changes in my whole being. And that's spiffing, isn't it, darlings?
Hey friend, Paul here, good to see you, good to be in your ears. And today, or in this episode, what I want to tell you is about just making a small change that makes a massive difference. You see, it's not just about the continuum, and we've talked about that, and I'm going to go deep into it, but it connects everybody and everything, and it infects and affects all and everything. And hopefully, you're going to feel so motivated, more whole. You're going to be thinking, yeah, I'm really good with this. I'm going to get on with it. That's my aim. Because for me, I think this sort of completes a circle of a little bit, or one section of personal development, where we're going, where we're aiming for. You see, this follows on from the FMQ of the same name. What's next for me? And in that, I talked about people going for gold medals in the Olympics and things like that. But how many times have we seen people strive to be the very best at something? Could be a sportsman, actors, comedians, people in the music industry. They want to be the very best. And when they get there, they implode, don't they? We've seen that. When they implode, it's whether with drinks, with drugs, it's partying, it's living life to excess, getting people around them who suck not only the lifeblood out of them, but everything they've worked for. And it's hard to imagine, isn't it? How the hell do you do that? How do you lose that amount of money? How do you lose that of everything? How do you lose that health? How do you lose that goal, that wish, that drive, and let it all go? And they're the ones who make it. What about those who don't make it? They end up with depression, anxiety, and they blow it all before they even make it. Now, that's obviously the most depressing way to start a bloody podcast, isn't it, Cluffy? Yes, it is. It'll get better, but not just yet. Oh, crikey, O'Reilly, not just yet. Yeah, because I've been talking about, other people. I want to talk about me. I've got a personal example of having a goal, having a wish, having a dream. And you see, a long, long time ago, these were in the days before I got into NLP and things like that. I was listening to Tony Robbins back in the day, and going through his goal setting. And I love what he does, but on this particular thing, I don't think it fell apart a little bit for me anyway, because it was, what do you want in the next 6 months? What do you want in the next 12 months? What do you want in the next 5 years? What do you want in the next 10 years? Or what do you just want? And I put down, I wanted to own a narrowboat, a canal boat, one of those long boats, 6 foot wide, 50 foot long, and they sit on the canal. Why did I want one of those? I got no bloody idea. Because I'd never been in one, never steered one, never had one, never had experienced anything about them, but something about it in my head when I was just throwing things on a piece of paper, that's what came up. And I forgot about it. Certainly didn't work towards it in a real way, but it was there in the back of, in this little goal-setting book I had, little precious, maybe it was the first start of my puzzle book, I guess. Lovely book. I remember it had a little clasp and things like that, leather book. And then a few years went by, and I actually went on a weekend on a narrowboat in England, in the UK. And something there just went, oh, this is awesome. This is good. I enjoy this. And then I remembered having written this goal out. Oh, there's a coincidence. Didn't think anything of it. And then someone said, who came on that weekend with me, said, have you ever thought about buying one? So funny you should say that, because I've written a goal about that. I said, well, why don't we go and look for one? Well, okay. And we saw one. And I said, hey, let's do it. Now, I had a real problem because I was getting very excited about it, but then I had to stop and think. People kept saying, why haven't you made your mind up yet, Cluffy? It's been 2 or 3 days, and, that boat will go off the market. Someone's going to buy it shortly if we don't. What are you going to do? I kept thinking, yeah, sounds a good idea. Feels a good idea-ish. But that's my goal. It's done. What next? I put no effort into it. I didn't think about the continuum, what would happen. I didn't think of the goal at all, really. It was just a one-liner. What happened? Well, you're going to think it was the most wonderful, intuitive thing to do, and it wasn't. It was a disaster. It was a disaster in so many ways. I'm not going to bore you with them, but it led to me having a real bad time. It was just one of the things, one of the cogs in the way, one of the straws that broke the Cluffy's back, as it were. So it happens to us all. We don't have to strive for the big things. It's just our goals. Do we have a continuum? Do we know what's going to happen next? Now, some people, and I used to be like this, it's okay, we'll just go with the flow. Just go with the flow. Things would be fine. They always have been ish. There's always that ish bit, but they don't pronounce that ish. That's always quietly said. Trouble is, the metaphor goes, yeah, go with the flow, because where does the flow lead? Normally to a waterfall, normally to rapids, where all the shit happens. Unless you steer, unless you have some control of where you're going. Where, not just control, and you have control because you have an aim in mind. You have a direction. You know where you want to go. You're going to turn left, or you're going to take the right path, as they say. So, I know you have a goal. Now, some people say, well, you're here anyway, personal development. But the thing is, you might say, well, actually, Cluffy, I don't really have a goal. Not a specific goal. So I'm going with the flow. Well, we've said that's not the right way, is it? And with my example, I went with the flow and it was an utter disaster. Cost me money, cost me emotional pain, all that stuff. But the thing is, you have a goal if you're here. you have a goal. I know you have, even if it isn't written down, if it isn't, the SMART goal, if it isn't specified in time and exactly what you want, because you have a goal, because you're here to learn. I know you are. You'll be listening if you weren't going to see if is there a golden nugget this Clough is going to throw out. I know you want to be better, because again, you've got personal development in your blood. You want to be better than you are. And you could be absolutely awesome right now, and you are awesome right now, but we can always be that little bit better, can't we? I know some of you here, maybe you, I know it's me sometimes, to find confidence. When I do these things, a lot of these things are coming out from me. They're my issues. And it's covertly, I guess, me finding my own confidence. It's like my own personal verbal puzzle book. Some people want to lose their anxiety, their fear, their jealousy, their depression, OCD. You fill in the bloody blank. Because they're all goals. Whether you want something or you want to lose something. Because you can lose anxiety and you can then gain confidence. You can lose fear and be comfortable. You can lose jealousy and have a loving relationship, a trusting relationship. You can get rid of depression, lose depression, and be really just happy with the world. You see, I know that you've got those goals, and even those other goals, because they're all written down, aren't they? And I know what you're going to say. Oh no, WTF, Cloughie, you know I haven't written them all down, and if I have, is this really going to be a goal-setting workshop? Is it? Well, no, it isn't. It isn't at all. It isn't at all, but one thing about it is, if you have a goal, write the bugger down, because it'll disappear out your mind. I wrote mine down, but not sufficiently enough, and look what happened to me. Disaster. That's with writing it down a little bit, but just not thinking. But you see, this is not a goal-setting workshop. This is nothing to do with that, because I've done it so many times in the past. I mean, you've got hashtag 259, 271, 272, and there's 15 others when I searched in my back catalogue alone. Personal Development Unplugged. All you have to do is search. I use Castbox, yeah, and put in like goal setting, and poof, they all came up. There's loads there. But let's assume, because you do whatever you say, whatever excuse you give, and I did it, bloody nearly swore then, for years. Didn't really think about it. It wasn't written, well, they were written down, but they weren't. I'm going to assume you've written them down, and if you haven't, you've got to write them down. There is no ifs, buts, or maybe. You have to write them down. And there's an and here, the bit I missed off in my bit, as a well-formed outcome. So I have a goal in mind, and it's well-formed. What's that mean? I'm not going to go through it with you completely, because if you look through the hypnosis tracks, paulcloughonline.com/podcast, for those who haven't got the link. If you got the link, click on your personal link, and somewhere down the middle, there'll be a well-formed outcome hypnosis. And all you do is you listen to the track. I'd listen to the episode first, and then listen to the hypnosis track. Awesome. And then really get into your, take your each goal individually and really get them well-formed, because then they are aligned. They're aligned to where you're going. Aim in mind. And then you're going to use the 5 keys to success. And I talk about these all the time. My son talks about them. Joseph Clough talks about them all the time. The 5 keys to success. And the first one is know your outcome, know your aim, know your goal. Know where you're headed for. This is what I want. And it's got to be what you want, by the way, not what other people want for you. It's got to be what you want for you. And then it says, the second key is take massive, intuitive action. And I always like to put in like continuous action, because we can take massive action and then forget it for a little while. Continuous action is carrying it on. It's continuous. And when you're taking that massive, intuitive, continuous action, committed action, you then use the third key, which is being aware of where you are on this goal. It's measured, isn't it? It's where we review. Where are we? How close to the goal are we? How far have we moved? How far we moved the needle? How short is the runway? I know people like to have the runways getting longer, shorter. Where are we? And if we're not quite on target, because something's come up, just like the old hero's journey, because every goal is in some ways a hero's journey, especially when you're on personal development, because it is a total hero's journey. There's obstacles in the way and we have to go round them, over them, through them, change a little direction and come back. So we have to have flexibility. That's the fourth key. What's the fifth key, Paul? I'll ask you, what is the fifth key? Well, it's act as if. Act as if with a psychology and physiology of excellence, as if you've got this goal already, the feeling of the wish fulfilled. And you think, that's how it should be. And we've talked about that before, and I'll talk about it ad infinitum, forever and ever and ever. Now, you see, I'd like you, obviously, to have this stuff written down, working on it, continuously reviewing it, knowing where you're going. But I want you to stop for a moment. Metaphorically stop on that goal. Actually, physically stop on that goal. If you're thinking about it right now, I want you to stop after this episode. Stop what you're doing. Get your paper and pen. Oh, shit, Cluffy, you want us to write again? Yeah, I want you to write and I want you to think. I want you to think in a different way, not just this goal. Look, I want you to imagine the goal has been achieved. So we're going into that feeling of the wish fulfilled. If you were to imagine in the future, having got there now, this is how it will be. I will have this wonderful, successful completion of a goal. Got this feeling of the wish fulfilled. And then ask yourself the question and actually write it down. What's next? That's one question. What's next? What could this lead to? What opportunities might spring from this? What new things maybe I haven't thought about, I could think about now? Now, I appreciate these are pretty vague. And in fact, I know people talk, you want to have a specific goal in mind, and we do. We've got that specific goal. We're going to write it down. We're going to review it. We're going to use the 5 keys to success, and we know it's a well-formed outcome because you're working on that goal. And you don't know what's next. Not specifically. You don't know what it could lead to, specifically, physically, factually. So it has to be a bit vague because when you get there, something might change, but we need to plan for it. And it's this thinking of what's next, what could it lead to, what opportunities, what new things could happen, how would it affect me, can actually make this motivation to complete this goal even stronger. Make it more intense, because you now know it's not just the goal, it's this continuum. How do you do that? How do you do that? I'm never going to leave you hanging. How do you do it? I can only tell you how Cluffy does it. You can do a list. Lists are boring, but they're not. They're yours. If you're a list person, you're a list person. But I would do it as a mind map, because that's what I do, because it gives you freedom on the paper. If you can, I get an A4 book and open it up so you've got an A3 in front of you, and in the middle, across the centre spine, I write down that goal, the goal I'm working on. And you can have one for each goal, because I know you've got more than one goal, even if they're not specific goals. So maybe just a career move. I'm looking to do this. In the next 5 years, I want to be a manager, or this, or that, or what. Or in the next 2 years, my goal is to be that entrepreneur, that solopreneur, or bring this thought I have into the market. So they're goals, and you need to work on them, as I say, as a well-formed outcome, the 5 keys to success, review and plan and all that stuff. But just in the middle of that page, write down that goal you're going for, and then as each line, just draw lines away from, because you don't have to have a line and writing on it. Just draw half a dozen lines. They're empty lines at the moment. And leave enough room to do another line connected to that. So like another one on to the end. And then start thinking. Because those open lines are going to get your unconscious mind to say, what can I fill it with for a start? That's the reason for that. There's a way, and that's why we're doing it. But I want you to sit down, and it only needs to be for 5-10 minutes at a time. Because this is just like, oh, well, if I did become the entrepreneur, that solopreneur, or I did bring this thing to market, or I did get this thing, or I did take this, I wrote my book, or I did this, I did that. What opportunities could that lead to? What could be next? Maybe there's another book. Maybe there's a presentation. Maybe there's a mentorship. Maybe there's a mentoring. Maybe you're going to go on another training and that's going to lead to something else. But they're just vague, but they're just thoughts. And it's just there's no editing it, no critique on it, because we don't know. So they could be your wildest thoughts and also your most conservative thoughts. And they don't have to be specific, in brackets, yet. Because as you get closer to achieving the successful completion of that goal that you're working on, they're going to get firmer they're going to get more attainable. They're going to be clearer. That's what it's all about. But the thing is, you have to be a little bit careful as well, because you've got all these things and you think, this is going to allow me to do this. This is an opportunity here. But I want you to also think of something else as well. If you got one of those, how would it affect me? How would each feel? Just notice those things. How would it make me feel if I got that other opportunity following on from this goal? I made a little note here, and I bet you don't do it, but I'd love you to email me yours. Those added parts, these opportunities, and how it would make you feel. But also, even if you don't email me, you need to do this. But then think, how would that impact everything else? What do you mean, Paul? Oh, I call myself Paul. Ecology. How will it affect, I say that again, how will that affect you personally? Remember, right at the very beginning, we talked about these people who implode. They go off the rails. They just don't handle it well. How will it affect you? What might you lose? And what will you gain? That's part of the well-formed outcome. But also think about it. How will it affect your family? Or the people around you who act like family? Your friends, your colleagues, depending on which type of goal you're going for, which type of context you're going for. How will it affect them? Because if it's going to mean you're going to lose contact with one or two of them, and you can mitigate that by setting up ways of keeping that contact going in a different way. So it's not a surprise when you get there and suddenly realize, shit, where's everyone gone? So there's ecology there. So how will it affect you? What will you gain? What will you lose? How will it affect the people in your life, your family, your friends? And then the last one, how will it affect little old planet Earth? And each one of those has got to be positive or mitigated so they will become positive. That means when you get 3 ticks in a row, you've got perfect ecology. Or it's perfect. Nothing is perfect, but it's the best we can do right now, and we can keep making it even better. And see, when you get all of that, when you get all these ducks in a row, you've got the goal itself and the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You've got the opportunities that this goal is, the successful completion of this goal is going to give you. You're going to get another feeling of the wish sort of fulfilled again. Which you're going to email me, by the way, aren't you? Maybe. And you know it's totally ecological. That's going to give you so much more motivation on that original goal that you had, or the original goals. And you always know there's always more. Always more. But that motivation is not going to, it might be right out there in front of you, but it's going to be inside. And your unconscious mind is going to know the direction you want to go. Your unconscious mind is going to start looking and searching for the opportunities because they know they're good ones, because the feeling is good. And they're all out there. You just sometimes miss them because you're focusing on something else. But your unconscious mind can use that unconscious peripheral vision and notice those opportunities that match the ones that give you that pleasure. And this is what it's all about. Take away the pain and wallow in pleasure. Pleasure that's ecological. Good for you, good for others, and good for the little old planet Earth. And you see, I know I'm going to bang this out again, but I always use a puzzle book. I have this one book. In fact, I've got a couple now, and they're bigger now. And I call them my little puzzle books. They're for puzzling things, for musing things. And that's how I can write my goals down. And that's how I can review my goals. Just review where I am. I can just make sure that I am following the 5 keys to success. And like that hero's journey, when I come back, I know I can connect with everyone. And when you do this so often, and it doesn't take hours and hours and hours, it's reviewing, it's setting up, just checking for your week, reviewing where you've come from or achieved, where you're going, how you're going to get there in that next week, that next month. The more you do it, even if it's only for minutes at a time, and maybe in the daytime you just spend a minute just imagining it, that successful completion, to keep that good feeling, the feeling of the wish fulfilled. We come back to what I say. What you think about most in your day is what you get, whether you like it or not. Now, if you're thinking about the successful completion of this goal and all the opportunities and all this only for minutes at a time, you are thinking about this most of the time. And that's, guess what? You're going to be writing to me and Paul and say, Paul again, Cluffy, Paul, I've achieved that. I want to hear your successes. I'd love to get your feedback of your successes, the things you're doing, because that will inspire me. I will support you in every dream and goal you have. And when I hear about them, it will inspire me to share it with others, to inspire them too. Because if you can do it, I can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. If anybody can do it, we can all do it. We just need to know the process. And this is a brilliant process. And it's simple. And in simplicity, there is genius. There you go. That's it. We're done. I'm sure I'll be talking more about this because I love this subject. And I'll share new things that come up with me. And talking about sharing, as we always do, please share this episode with as many people as you can, because it not only helps you to feel good, selfless service, it helps those people because they get to feel, or get to understand and learn new things, get motivated, achieve things with ecology. And it helps this little podcast grow in size so more people get the benefit of it. So if you would do that, and have a quick look at paulcloughonline.com. Loads of stuff on there. And if you've signed up to the free hypnosis, there's 55 plus there on site, you also get a massive discount. And I tell you that every month on that one little page newsletter that I just tell you what's coming and what's gone on so you don't miss anything. That's all there is. No selling. Have more fun than you can stand. Share. Be good. And maybe let's just all be kind, shall we? Let's set our intention for being kind. Kind to ourselves, kind to you, kind to me, and kind to every bugger in the world. Okay? It's time to fly. Have more fun than you can stand. Ta-da.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.